Well, everybody, welcome to Correctional Systems. This is the introductory video for the course where we're going to talk about what we're going to be doing this semester, what's expected of you, and so forth. We'll spend some time going over the syllabus. We'll look at the Blackboard, our weekly content. We'll talk a little bit about your exams, and we'll spend just a couple seconds talking about the research paper and point you to a video that goes more in depth on the research paper so you can kind of look at that. But before we get started, for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Craig Foss. I am the department chair for the Criminal Justice Department here at Alvin College. We're a very small department, so there's just me and some part-time instructors that make up the program. We do also have a police academy that is separate from the Criminal Justice Department, but very interrelated. And in fact, we work very closely. I spend time working with the police academy in addition to the academic courses. A little bit of background about myself. I am a retired police officer. I spent 34 years as a full-time police officer. I retired from 2 different agencies. I worked for a 3rd agency. I actually started as a reserve deputy constable in Harris County in 1977. So going back a few years, over 40 years ago. I became a full-time police officer in the city of Beaumont in 1979. No disrespect to anybody from Beaumont, but I didn't really like it in Beaumont. I had applied for the Galveston Police Department before Beaumont and got a call from them and offered me a job there, so I jumped at that chance and left Beaumont, went to work in Galveston, and I'm very glad I did. I really enjoyed working for the Galveston Police Department. I spent 21 years there. I was able to retire early and go to work for the Dickinson Police Department. In Galveston, I spent the majority of my career in the Identification Division, which would be probably better known today as the Crime Scene Unit. I was a fingerprint examiner. I processed thousands of crime scenes during the 17 years I was assigned to the division as either a patrolman or as a sergeant in the division. In addition, I was a polygraph examiner. I worked a year as an auto theft detective. I spent 3 years on patrol as a patrolman and another year on patrol as another year as 2 years as a patrolman and 1 year as a patrol sergeant on patrol. So, kind of a variety of experience. Patrol was fun, but my heart was more into the investigative work. Dickinson had an opening for a forensic specialist when one of the guys that used to work for me in Galveston had gone up there, and he left to go to work for League City. So I applied for that job and accepted it. They didn't have enough work for a full-time forensic person, so in addition to doing the crime scene work and so forth, I got to run the property room, which was not fun, and I did fraud investigation, which crime has gone down in this country considerably in the last 25 years. Fraud's gone up. And it's simple. It's easier to commit fraud today with computers and the internet and so forth. So that it's not that that people didn't want to do as much fraud in the past. It's just it become easier. Well, part of my job in Dickinson was hiring of new cadets, or not cadets, new officers, and with that I did some recruiting. I came out here to Alvin College to recruit, and while I was out here, I found out there was an opening for the department chair here, and decided to apply for it. I had recently obtained my master's degree from Sam Houston State and had been teaching at University of Phoenix for about a year. And by the way, y'all are much better students than the students that I had at the University of Phoenix. It was just kind of a different program. So applied for the job and interviewed, and they called me and got offered the job, and I wasn't really expecting it, so I had to decide whether I wanted to do that. Made the decision, and I was glad I made the decision. Kind of like when I made the decision to go to work for Galveston, I can always say that was great. And even when I retired and went to work for Dickinson, I enjoyed working in Dickinson. It was a different atmosphere. We were very close-knit group of detectives. There were only 4 of us. So we worked a lot of stuff together. I enjoyed it. But I was ready to move on by the time I was retiring. I wasn't enjoying the work as much as I had in the past. I enjoy teaching. It is, it's really enjoyable. I enjoy the students and enjoy the program here. Not as much the administrative work that goes with the job, but the actual in-class, working with the students, working with the cadets in the police academy is very fulfilling. So with that, let's go ahead and let me get out of the way and we'll start talking about what's going on in the course. So first we'll look at the dashboard page, which is what you will land on. The key thing here is there's going to be announcements that will show up from time to time. Anytime there are changes, you'll get announcements. You'll get, there'll be several announcements throughout the year. You will be able to view them here. The to-do page is not going to be as useful because of the way I've got the course set up. There are no deadlines set in Blackboard. There are deadlines. In fact, I want to tell you now and again when we get into the syllabus, this is not a self-paced course. However, you can complete work early. You just have to meet the deadlines. Failure to meet the deadlines will result, if you miss too many of them, in grade reduction, a final semester grade reduction. Again, when we get to the syllabus, we'll talk about the attendance and the implications of attendance. That's how we take attendance, is whether you met the deadlines. So to tell you again, you can complete the work early. You can complete the entire course early as long as the material is available. First time I teach a new book, the entire course will not be available at the beginning, but I will stay several weeks ahead of you, at least 4 or 5 weeks ahead of the schedule, so that you can complete things early if you would like. I'm doing this with the mind of the officer working rotating shifts and working the 12-hour shifts. Some weeks you've got a lot to do, some weeks you don't have as much, so you'll have more time for the class. So we let you work ahead, just not behind. So the next section we're going to look at is the Start Here page, and that's where we're going to find the course syllabus. We'll go over that in a minute. There's a link to your grades, and then the course schedule. And during this semester, we're going to be looking at about a chapter a week. And now this book only has 13 chapters, so we've got a week or two without a chapter to look at, which may be time for you to catch up and so forth. First week, you'll be looking at the introduction, which includes the video you're watching now, and several other things. We'll go over those in a minute when we get to weekly content. Each week, you'll have some type of discussion that's due. There may be more than one. The first week, you've got to introduce yourself and a paraphrase discussion. The majority of the other discussions are going to be reviews for the exam. So when you're looking at the second week, we'll be looking at Chapter 1. Your discussion will be key terms for the exam. You will complete a Word document where you put your answers, including page numbers, to make it easier for you on the exam, make it easier for other students finding information, because you're going to be able to kind of share this once you post. You're not going to be able to look at anybody else's answers until you post your original questions, but you'll be able to do that. Each week you'll have to do an original post, and you will have to do some follow-up posts to other students. I've used this summer, and I had a couple classes, or the summer before I'm recording this, had a couple classes, one where the students' follow-up posts were generally, hey, you did a great job, good luck on the test, things like that. That wasn't as useful. On another class, had them post, hey, for question number, so-and-so, or for, the question on, prisoners with disabilities, whatever, I got something different, here's what I got, or, hey, I like what you got better than what I got, something like that. So there was actually discussion on that. That's what the responses I'm looking for. Also this semester you're going to have a research paper and presentation due. We'll get to those sections. You actually have to either come to campus or to present it in one of my face-to-face classes or present by videotape. But we will spend some time on that tab in a minute. And then you've got 4 exams to take, and all this is here. In the event that this schedule changes, you will get a class announcement, and we will update it. In the face-to-face classes, it's not as uncommon for them to change because sometimes we have weather issues that make them close the campus. Telling you, for the online class, I have very rarely seen the information highway closed because there's too much ice on the road. I will say Hurricane Harvey kind of caused some shutdown for a lot of people because they couldn't get to their house, or they lost their internet service because of the storm. In that case, we would change the schedule. But if there's ice on the road and the college campus is closed, the information highway is not closed, you can still get your material done that week. So just kind of keep that in mind. Next below there, we've got information on my office hours. Then I'll have a link to the book, the right book. This is the wrong one that's viewed here, but I will update that with the book. You can also get information on the textbook from the library. Now we'll get back to the syllabus. If you click on it, it will open. I've already opened it because my computer's been running slow. So here is your syllabus. Most of it is template standard form, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on the standard information. This course is, again, make sure that there's the right one listed. It is the Community Resources and Corrections, and stand by. Through the magic of editing, we've got the right syllabus up here now. I got the right one uploaded. It is the Correction System Syllabus 2313. It is got a note on here. Again, I told you I would tell you more than once. It's not a self-paced class. You have to meet certain deadlines. You can work ahead, but not behind. Again, I'll say that again when we get down to the attendance module. The other thing is the major exams on this and the introductory quiz must be taken in a proctored setting, basically because of accreditation. This proctored setting can be here on campus, or it can be using the software called Respondus Monitor, Respondus Lockdown Browser. If you're using that, that is the recommended way. You can take the exam from home. All you have to have is a compatible computer, be it yours or a borrowed computer, with the software loaded. It works on Windows-based computers. It works on the Apple-based computers. It doesn't tend to work on any of the other formats. So you're going to need like if you got a Chromebook, it's not going to work on that. If you need to come to campus to take it, you can do so at the testing center or by coming to the criminal justice office during my office hours or by arrangement, and I will set you up in one of our testing rooms. We've got 2 testing rooms for the criminal justice department, the one that we use for all our face-to-face class exams, and then the one we use for a lot of TCOL exams. It's a small room with it's got 3 computers for testing in it, so you've got those 2 options. Again, you'll have to make arrangements in advance. The big thing here, communicating with your instructor, is to be done by email. That's the preferred method. A couple things. It makes a record of the communication, and it also helps us keep in line with federal regulations. I guess the thought process is that anybody could call on the phone and say they're you. They probably won't, but they could. But you're the only one that should have access to your email. Of course, that you gave your password to somebody else, that's kind of on you. With that said, if you email me from your personal email and I notice it, I will say some people have snuck things in and I haven't noticed it. I've noticed it later on. If you send me something from your personal email, you'll get a canned response saying, that I cannot respond to personal email accounts, please resend the request through your college email account. That's to fall in line again with the FERPA regulations, our accreditation, and so forth. You can call me at the office during my office hours. I may be out of the office. Again, teaching the police academy, I go to a lot of meetings and so forth, so I'm not always in here. You can leave a message. Whether you're sending me an email or leaving me a phone message, either way, please identify which class you're in or your question's on. I teach 6 classes, so I've got students from usually around 100 or more students, and some of them are in multiple classes, so sometimes I know what class this one student's in, but he's questions about a different class, so I'll spend time doing research to answer their question, only to figure out that no, they were talking about introduction to criminal justice, not correctional systems class. So please identify the course you're in, either in the tagline for the email or in the voicemail itself. Now, the course description. This course is a study of the role of community in corrections, community programs for adult, juvenile administration, community programs, legal issues. Students will be required to make one campus visit to present the research paper. We'll get more into that when we get to the research paper session. There is an alternative of doing it by video. Upon completion of this course, your student will be able to describe organization and operation correction systems and alternatives to institutionalization, describe treatments and rehabilitation programs, differentiate between short-term incarceration and long-term institutional environments, evaluate current and future correctional issues, and identify constitutional rights applicable in the correctional setting. The textbook, again, is available through the bookstore. I just looked at it. Looks like you can get a rented version of the digital version of it for the entire course period for under $40. And the book was running a new book $150 or so, somewhere right in that neighborhood. And you can find them used even cheaper. So just spend some time looking. Again, you can get through the bookstore. The course outline will indicate what all the chapters we're looking at. The correctional systems, we're looking at sentencing and correction process and so forth. We're going to be looking at approximately a chapter a week, as I've mentioned earlier, so you can kind of go through things. And again, obviously in the syllabus it's not going to change, but if it changes, you'll see the change reflected in Blackboard. You'll have a research paper that you need to be completed. It's 1,000 to 1,500 research paper, and you'll be required to do an interview for that paper. You'll have to present it to class. If you don't present it to the class, you don't pass the course. As far as the grading summary, the major exams will count 15% each. There are 3 major tests. They are 50 questions. You have 50 minutes to complete them. There is a final. It's 80 questions. You'll have 80 minutes to complete it. 30 of the questions, the additional 30 questions, are going to be covered from the quizzes of the previous chapters. So it will be a comprehensive exam. You won't have case reviews. You actually have a report that is worth 10% of your grade. So you'll have to be sure to work hard on that, get it done. The quizzes, great thing about the quizzes is they're worth 15% of your grade, and you can retake them as many times as you want until you get 100 on them. You have to retake them until you make at least a 70, because you can't move to the next chapter until you make at least a 70 on it. We'll talk about that when we get to the weekly content. Just brief standard information on withdrawing from courses. Before you withdraw from a class, talk to your advisor. They'll tell you, they'll walk you through the process if you decide you need to drop the course. In the event that you don't like your final grade, there is an appeal process. You can find that in the catalog, the process to go through. Now we'll get to the attendance. Alvin College is required to take attendance because we give financial aid. So the federal government says, hey, we're not just going to give you financial aid without being sure that the students are going to class. Well, there's a problem with an online class is you don't go to class. So how do we make sure you go to class for an online class? There's no set time for it. Well, that means you have to participate by meeting deadlines. So each week you're going to have a group of things due. When we look back at that calendar, you saw that there were quizzes that were due, you have papers that are due, you've got discussion that's due. And I've got deadlines that are posted there, so you've got things due on Monday, you've got things due on Wednesday. I will tell you right now that I will be determining whether things are on time on Thursday mornings. So everything due that week, whether it's due on Monday or Wednesday, if it's done by Thursday morning when I get up, and warning, I get up about 5 a.m., if it's done then, it will count as on time. If it's not done then it's late. Now, during a week, if you don't do anything that's due, and if there's a quiz and a discussion, and you don't do either one of them that's due that week, you're going to be marked as absent. If you did one thing and didn't do the other, or did one thing out of the 4 that were due, you will be marked late. Now, if you have 2 lates, that's the same as an absence for the sake of whether you're meeting the requirement of attendance. If you have more than 3 absences during the semester, you will lose 1 letter grade on your final. So let's say you didn't do any work 3 weeks, and then the 1 week you were late on material. That would be the equivalent of 3.5 absences. So if you had a B average for the class, you would end up getting a C as your final grade because you had a 1 letter reduction. If you had 7 different weeks where you were late with some material, kind of made a habit of it, that would still be 3.5 absences, the equivalent of 3.5 absences, and you would still have that same grade reduction. So, it's kind of a combination of actually getting marked absent and getting marked late. Keep up with things. Again, I want to emphasize, excuse me, that the dates in Blackboard, if you're used to the Blackboard saying something's due, it's not going to, because of allowing you to do all the retakes and letting people work ahead. I couldn't put the Blackboard deadlines in it. It caused some issues with how Blackboard decides whether you can view something or not. So they're not there. You need to go off of the weekly content and the course schedule that you'll find in there to see when things are due. Also, I will talk each week in my weekly update video, about between 2 and 10 minute video I do each week, where we talk about what we did last week and talk about what's coming up in the week to come. And on these videos, we'll talk about what's due that week. So you'll have that each week. The rest of this is standard template information, but it is very important, so please spend the time to read it. Now let's go back to Blackboard. Oh, and by magic, while I was away, the textbook has now showed up, and we're looking at Corrections Today, the 4th edition. And if this is updated, there will be a different one in Blackboard. So don't look at the one in the video. Double check in Blackboard. Check with the school bookstore for the actual edition, because if there weren't a whole lot of changes in it, I may not have updated this particular video. But it will be in Blackboard what the current book is. Okay, so let's scroll back up. The next section we want to look at is going to be our weekly content. And here you've got folders for each and every week of the semester, all 16 of them. Now, as I'm recording this video, is a new book that we're using for the semester when I'm recording this video. So the videos for each week are not there yet. They will be in time for you to work ahead. I will make sure I've got the first 4 weeks done before class starts, and then kind of fill the rest of them in. If you're watching this in a future semester, they're already there. So that's the magic of being able to use the same book for several years. Okay, so now let's look and see what is on week 1. In week 1, we've got your weekly update. Will go here right now. If in the student mode, you won't see this. Here is a list of everything we're doing this first week. First week, we've got you'll have the weekly update video to watch, which will be there by the time you're looking at this. You'll watch the introductory, the APA, and the navigating Blackboard videos. You know how I navigate my classes in Blackboard. You've taken a recent online class. You don't have to watch it. If you haven't, watch it. It kind of tell you where things are. You have to take the introductory quiz using the Respondus Lockdown browser. You'll need to, if you don't already have it, you'll need to download the browser. If you're not sure how it works, I've got a little video down there. Let's go down to it that you can watch that I shot in my backyard, where you can tell you all about.
In a short video, I'm going to show you
how Respondus Lockdown browser works. You will have to introduce yourself in the discussion board. You'll have an original and follow-up post on that. There's another discussion board on Paraphrase. You have to make an original post on it. You don't have to make follow-up discussion to it, but read everybody else's, see how they paraphrase differently than yours. And then you'll have to select the research paper topic. For your research paper, I don't want 25 of the same topic, so everybody has to choose their own separate topic. So the earlier you get it, the better off you are as far as getting your choice. So that covers what all you need to do the first week. You're doing part of it by watching this video now. Now, if we go to the second week, I'm just going to show you how things are going to work as far as visibility of items. On week 2, I am in the instructor mode right now, so everything is visible. Week 2, you're going to be looking at Chapter 1. The video for Chapter 1 will be here. This is the holder for it. That's actually the next thing I'm recording. And then below it is Quiz 1. Then below that is Discussion 1. And I'll talk about that in a second, but just to show you, everything is visible in my mode. But let me go into the student mode to just let you know that it won't necessarily be visible for you. So we go to weekly content, week 2, and magically the video or the holder for the video and the quiz are not there. They're not there because in order for them to be visible, you need to make 100% on that introductory quiz that you need to take this week. And the information for that quiz is coming from this video and the APA video. And then you also have to make your post in the Introduce Yourself. Once you do that, then those two will be visible for you. After that, in order for the chapters to be visible, you'll need to make at least a 70 on the quizzes. And when you get to the section that is the chapter right after an exam, you'll need to have taken the exam. You don't have to make a 70 on it. I would like you to make at least a 70 on it. I'd like you to make a whole lot better on it. But just taking the exam will make the chapter that comes right after the exam visible. Okay, now on the discussion question, you will have a file that will be here for you to download. It will be a Word file. Our discussion questions are, for this week, going to be your review for the exam. There are terms for each week. Let me go and I will pull one up. It's not going to be for this course because I haven't gotten this courses done yet, but I will show you one of the kind of how they look. I've got them here in a section where I've got the exam. They will be on the exam review. We'll go ahead and pull up chapter 3 from this other course. And what's going to be there, it's going to be a Word file, and you are going to want to answer all the questions on the Word file by kind of filling in the blank. It is being opened in Google's version of Word right now, so it's going to look a little bit, well, not really look a little bit different, but it'll act a little different. So you'll simply type your answers in the answer slot and the page number that you found it on. The reason you want to put your page number there is because it will allow you or another student who's looking for things to find out where you found this information, because maybe you thought fragmentation was about this, you found it in the book, but the question on the test is about that. So if you got this page number, you can quickly go back to that page in your textbook and find out what this is instead of that, because you got that, you did it wrong. Now what you want to do is you want to save this file. This is, I'd have to save it as Google Doc because it's open in Google Doc here, but save it with your name on it, and then in the discussion group you will then post it. Let me go back to the discussion page. You'll post this as an attachment. So when you get to it, you simply click on discussion. You have to create a new thread before you see it. I don't want you looking at somebody else's and copying it, so you've got to actually do the work yourself. Hit create thread. Then you will title the thread, discussion, whatever, and put your name. If I can type. And then you will simply go to the attachment, browse your computer, and it'll eventually come up, and then you just pick the file, hit open it, and then you would submit it. I can't submit it. Well, I could by moving out of the way, but I don't want to submit it, so I'll move back. I'm going to go back into the teacher, the instructor's mode here, so that I can clear all this information out. And there's other information that I want you to see. Okay, so that kind of covers what is weekly. Every week you'll have content to do. Part of that will be exams. The exams are going to be found here. The exam review, I will have this section with the actual updated discussions. The reason I put them in two different locations is I had students that were unable to download them from the discussion file. I don't know why. It was just a couple of students, so I've loaded them in two different locations just to kind of make it easier. The exams are only going to show up when you have completed the material that is required for that exam. So when you've done chapters 1 through 3, I believe it is, for this course and participated in the discussions, then exam number 1 will show up. When you click on it, you'll have to be in the Respondus Lockdown browser for the exam to take. If you click on this, it's going to click begin, it's going to want a password. You're not going to have that password, so you will not be able to take the exam unless you're in the lockdown browser or you're here on campus. When you're here on campus, I will provide the password. Now, if you are not familiar with the lockdown browser, again, here's another copy of the video. This is where you have to download it. If you've used the lockdown browser at a different institution, it won't work. You're going to have to download our version because they're set for the particular institutions. The test again will be 50 questions for the exams 1 through 3 and 80 for the final. They're all multiple choice. They will have a bonus question, which you will find inside one of the videos. As you watch the videos, watch the whole thing. Somewhere in there you will find a bonus question for the exams. Now the last section we're going to look at is the research paper. There is a video on the research paper right here. Watch the video. It will tell you all about it. I'm just going to be real brief with it because it's going to be in that video. But you do have to sign up for the research paper to select it. You also have to present it either here on campus or by video. I've got 2 time slots for it on campus. You're going to use the required template. You've got to use it. Again, watch this video, I'll tell you all about it. Here are your topics to choose from. Here's the folder where you make your choice, where you present your papers and so forth. And if you can't come to campus, there will be a link here that will allow you to upload your video. So that kind of covers it. Spend some time, select your topic this week. Spend some time either this week or real shortly watching this video on this. The key thing here is you have to interview somebody that's an expert in the field or has more knowledge than most in the field. So you don't want to wait till the last minute to do that. So get your topic selected, watch the video so you understand what's going on, and you'll be able to complete the research paper in time. Well, that covers it. That's your introduction. Be sure to watch the APA plagiarism video located right below there. And also take the quiz and make 100 on it. Introduce yourself and do the paraphrase video or discussion exercise. Looking forward to working with each and every one of you this semester and meeting you that I haven't met when we present your papers on campus, or at least meeting you by videotape if you're presenting by video. Well, good luck this semester.